Coming up on Evening Edition, the Supreme Court makes a historic ruling regarding abortion, which has people rallying in Kentucky at this very moment. We're live at a rally in downtown Lexington. Plus,
so as of this morning, except where the health of the mother is at risk, abortion is no longer lawful in the Commonwealth.
we take a closer look at how Kentuckians are immediately impacted by today's decision. Also,
terrifying that they have that power to strip a right away and tell you what to do with your body. It's the Handmaid's Tale.
hear more arguments from those who are for and against abortion in the Commonwealth. And
other news coming out of the Supreme Court today is that Justice Clarence Thomas says the court should also reconsider things such as same-sex marriage. We'll have reaction to that coming up. Evening Edition starts now.
Special edition of Evening Edition. I'm Larry Smith. LEX 18 is extensively focusing on the Supreme Court's landmark decision this morning regarding abortion. You just heard Lester Holt explain the national implications during nightly news. But how will Kentuckians be impacted? And how are people all across our Commonwealth reacting? Well, our very own Nancy Cox is live in downtown Lexington, where hundreds are making their voices heard, protesting today's landmark Supreme Court decision. Nancy?
good evening, Larry. Good evening, everyone. People started gathering here on the courthouse plaza well before 5 o'clock tonight. It was very hot at that point with the sun beating right down on the sidewalk, but that did not deter people from chanting, making their voices heard. They brought out signs. This crowd grew and grew over the last couple of hours. Then speakers began talking about how these protests are going to continue, but reminding people that they should be peaceful protests. Also talking a lot about going to the polls this fall, getting people registered to vote, so their views will actually have some bite in our country's law. Now, our LEX 18 drone is giving us a bird's eye view of what's happening down here, and it appears all formal presentations may be wrapping up, but folks don't seem to want to go home at this point. Because of actions in Washington, D.C., these 300 or 400 Kentuckians felt compelled to come out to march and hold handmade signs with their reaction to Roe versus Wade being overturned. The Supreme Court's ruling immediately impacts Kentucky because back in 2019, the legislature passed what is called a trigger law, anticipating some kind of action by the Supreme Court on Roe versus Wade. And now that that has happened, that trigger law is in effect immediately. So as of right now, abortion is illegal in Kentucky. There is an exception, however. Under Kentucky law, abortions cannot be performed except to save the life of a pregnant mother. Earlier today, Kentucky Attorney General Daniel Cameron clarified Kentucky's law has no rape or incest provisions. You can hear more from Cameron coming up a little later on Evening Edition. So where can Kentuckians go to receive an abortion? The closest clinic to Lexington is in Bloomington, Indiana, which is about 180 miles from Lexington, a 3-hour drive by car. But for those who would need to travel, say by bus, that would be a 6-hour trip on 3 different buses. Well, there are a variety of reasons that people felt compelled to come out here tonight and protest. Earlier, I spoke with a recently engaged couple, and I want you to listen to why they decided this was something they should do together.
You know, if I don't take a stand here, it's just going to keep going down a slippery slide, and I got to fight back a little bit.
We're never going to have equality in this country unless women are treated the same as men. And if the Congress and government and the Supreme Court can legislate our health care and our bodies, that's never going to be equal.
The Kentucky Democratic Party Chair, Common Eldridge, released a statement today about the Supreme Court decision, and it reads, in part, Kentucky is ground zero in this fight. We deserve leaders who will create more opportunities for every Kentuckian, not partisan politicians who will relentlessly work to suppress your most basic freedoms just to cater to extremists in their party, end quote. Now, on the opposite side of this issue, the Supreme Court ruling was welcomed inside the office of Kentucky Attorney General Daniel Cameron. He chastised the governor for saying Kentucky's abortion law is too harsh. Evening Edition's Michael Burke has more from the AG.
Kentucky's Attorney General did not hide his satisfaction with today's ruling by the United States Supreme Court. Daniel Cameron addressed the SCOTUS ruling that federal abortion rights will now be eliminated and placed in the hands of the states to determine. That means Kentucky, based on the language from a 2019 bill, will ban abortion immediately with one exception, when the mother is at risk. Rape or incest victims will have to leave the state to terminate or carry the pregnancy to term. Cameron has never hid his desire to see this kind of outcome, and today he presented a united front with the court's ruling.
Our laws should reflect our values. Kentucky, that value has been to preserve life. The unborn have the same rights to life as you and me. As you may know, Kentucky is one of several states and has enacted legislation that would automatically take effect once Roe was overturned. The legislation protects babies from all forms of abortion.
Cameron also made sure that he reminded everyone of the 19 Democrats who voted for this bill back in 2019, and he specifically singled out the governor's chief of staff, Rocky Adkins. In Frankfort, Michael Burke for Evening Edition.
The Republican Party of Kentucky released a statement today after the Supreme Court's decision. It reads in part, quote, "As a post-Roe era begins, Republicans are committed to working to build a culture of life that embraces children, mothers, and families and provides resources, support, and kindness to them all," end quote. Legal experts are already weighing in about possible ramifications of today's ruling on other rights that have been established by precedent. Justice Clarence Thomas today suggested that it might be time to revisit other cases, including the ones that made gay marriage legal or contraception-related cases. Evening Edition's Austin Pollock breaks all that down.
The Supreme Court's decision to overturn Roe v. Wade garnered most of the headlines Friday, but stakeholders say this could transcend abortion.
If the court were to overturn that Obergefell decision, each individual state could create its own policy, just like now, today, each individual state can create its own abortion policy.
Obergefell, the case that granted same-sex couples the right to marry, is one of 3 cases cited by Justice Clarence Thomas in his concurring opinion. Lawrence found that criminal punishment for LGBTQ sex is unconstitutional. Griswold protects the right to use contraception. Thomas suggests all 3 cases could face a similar fate as Roe.
The real answer is time will tell. The decision does not explicitly take away other privacy rights, but I think if you read the logic and reasoning behind it, there's a good reason to worry that the court will go even further, and certainly Justice Thomas explicitly said that he would.
Today's ruling comes ahead of Lexington's annual Pride Festival. Organizer Jeremy Ellis says he understands what's at stake.
Using tomorrow, we're going to have an audience, north of 20,000 people, and they'll all be centrally located. So we're definitely using the opportunity to encourage those folks to get out and get their voices heard.
While ideologically similar to Justice Thomas, fellow conservative Justice Samuel Alito tried to diminish concerns about implications for other cases, writing, quote, "Nothing in this opinion should be understood to cast doubt on precedents that do not concern abortion," end quote.
If we're not stringent and careful and vocal about getting out there and making our opinions heard, that can be taken away just as easily.
In 2015, Justice Thomas was one of 4 justices who voted against giving same-sex couples the right to marry. In Lexington, Austin Pollock, Evening Edition.
Still ahead on Evening Edition, hear how other groups in Kentucky are reacting to this landmark decision. Also, we'll tell you how Kentuckians feel about Roe v. Wade being overturned as we give you the final results of our viewer poll. Then we'll check back in with Larry Smith and Bill Meck for your Storm Tracker forecast a little later. But Evening Edition is back after this.